I met Vasanti, my wife-to-be, in Bombay, and she was the one who introduced me to Jesus, which is bizarre. Everyone looked at us and assumed that she'd become a Christian because of me, but actually it was the other way around. But anyway, so we've met each other, and then we're wondering, what does the Lord want of us? And I had my job in Australia, so I was over there in Australia. Vasanti was back in India and traveling with the airline, and we were keeping in touch. I think I can say I was a better writer than her, but we kept in touch. We sort of, well, where's all this going? Now, my sister announced that she was going to get married in July 1974. And my first thought was, well, good luck to her. Australia's a long way from London. And then I went to my first ever Christian camp over Easter, and I just felt the Lord say to me, you ought to be at that wedding. So I think about that, and I go back to town, Melbourne, where I was living at the time, and start calling up different travel agencies. This was all the days before you could look on the internet. And I phoned them and I said, I want a cheap flight to go to London, to stop in Bombay on the way back, and to come back to Melbourne. And they all said, sorry, it can't be done. So I thought, well, okay, Lord, if it can't be done, I can't afford an expensive flight. This is what I want. And out of the blue, one of the travel agents called me back and said, I've got it all sorted out for you. It was the most amazing ticket. It was 4 different airlines going exactly where I wanted to go. And so I said, okay, I will take that. Now, in the meantime, Vasanti was on a posting in England, and she was due to return in March 1974 to Bombay because she'd finished her 3 months there. Then just before she was about to leave, the girl before her in the sequence had already returned to Bombay. She was told by Air India, please stay on in England. Now, I didn't know this. So when I arrived in England in June 1974, to my total surprise, Vasanti was there at Heathrow Airport to greet me. And so I was excited about this, what the Lord had done. And she came along to my sister's wedding, and yes, she was there. And she said for the first time she felt she was not an alien amongst all these white people, but she felt accepted and part of the wedding. But now I had a problem because I had my ticket to go to Bombay and Vasanti was in London. So I tried to change it. They said, no, you can't change it. There are limitations on these cheap tickets. So I couldn't change it. And so I was due to fly out on Saturday of 1 week. On the Wednesday of that week, and Air India phoned up Vasanti and said, we want you to go back on Friday. We said, wow, this is amazing. It seems as if someone is arranging all the timetables for us. And so Vasanti went back on the Friday, I went back on the Saturday, and she was in Bombay to meet me. And now we had 5 days again in Bombay, staying with Alan Vincent and his wife. And then we come to the end. Now, I didn't know this, but Vasanti prayed a prayer on the Thursday and said, Lord, if Duncan doesn't go tomorrow, or if his flight is delayed by 24 hours, I'll know he's the one for me. Well, I didn't know she'd prayed that, so we go to the airport on the Friday, and the flight is announced. I say goodbye to Vasanti, and she turns away and says, adios, amigo. She assumes it's all over. And I go out to the aircraft, and we taxi out to the end of the runway. The plane just starts to move when one of the engines blows up. And they come back again, stop the plane, go back to the departure lounge. They give an announcement to say, we're very sorry, but we have to get a new engine from Rome. This flight will be delayed by 24 hours. See, I didn't know what Vasanti had prayed, but the airline did and God did, so that was fine. 24 hours. So I'm thinking, well, now, what are you up to, Lord? And I opened my Bible. I don't often do this, but I opened my Bible and just came to a verse in Proverbs 13, verse 12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. And I read that, and I knew the Lord was speaking to me about Vasanti. So they arranged for us to stay in a hotel in Bombay. So before I went to the hotel, I went to where Vasanti was staying. She wasn't there. I was just walking out, and she arrived and told her the whole story. She said she'd come to see me checked into the hotel. This is mid-afternoon, and on the way in the taxi, we each tell each other what the Lord has done, the delay of 24 hours and the verse, Proverbs 13, verse 12. And me, being a good engineer, maybe an unromantic engineer, turn to her and say, well, I suppose we ought to get married. To which she says, yes, I suppose so. And that is why we knew the Lord wanted us to get married. God bless you. Hello again. Thank you for being here. I met Vasanti, my wife-to-be, in Bombay, and she was the one who introduced me to Jesus, which is bizarre. Everyone looked at us and assumed that she'd become a Christian because of me, but actually it was the other way around. But anyway, so we've met each other, and then we're wondering, what does the Lord want of us? And